It's the Charlie Bahama Show. Yeah.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Charlie Bahama Show. And we are here somewhere, as you can see, we moved again, but we are somewhere, and I'll look at the map later on in there, but we have a fantastic show for you. And maybe actually this next person, Jerome Sawyer, who's gonna be on the show, can help us out because he's an investigative reporter. And he has fantastic shows on right now, on the record and on the front lines, which is very exciting. We're going to talk to him about that. Oh, Ainsley, thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Ainsley. So we're going to talk to Jerome Sawyer about that and his career, his long career, which I've known him from the beginning as well. So this is going to be very exciting. And maybe Jerome Sawyer, using his investigative prowess, can tell me where we are. All right? Charlie Bahama Show, come on back. The Charlie Bahama Show. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the Charlie Bahama Show. And now we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, and an old friend of mine, Jerome Sawyer, is in the house. Jerome, how you doing, buddy?
Charlie, I'm good. Making the best of it. This is such a crazy environment we live in now. I mean, here we are talking virtually. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, that's true. But it must be exciting for you also, even though it is a tenuous time. It's exciting because you being in the news. This is, 2020 is like a news event over 10 years. I don't think we've had this much news in 1 year over 10 years.
Not in my entire career. I mean, and I've been doing this since I was 17. We've never had such an impactful series of events. Mm-hmm. And it's not just COVID, it's everything that's happened as a result of it. I mean, this is something that people are gonna talk about for another 100 years. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, and you talk about 17. I remember when you first came to, I looked at some pictures of you. I can't even recognize you. You look so innocent and so, it's like, and hey, me too though. I mean, I was young back then too, because just so everybody knows, where I was doing the show Electric Air, Jerome came to that studio, young, but I mean, you had fire in your eyes. I mean, you were ready from then.
It was crazy. I was coming home for the summer, and of course, I was a communications major, and somehow my mom made a call to Joan Aubrey at the counselors, and I had a conversation with Joan about coming to work there for the summer, and I walked in. I had no broadcast experience or anything, and like Charlie ran past with all this activity going on, and I'm trying to understand, the PR side, the broadcast side, and then next thing I know, we're out on a shoot doing Electric Air, and I'm like, what is this about? And of course, in those days, MTV, VH1, BET, that was all the rage. And, you were bringing, the Bahamian version of that to television. And that was so exciting just to work on. We were happy.
Yeah, and the young cameramen, they were happy because we got to go to all these concerts backstage and hang out with the celebs.
We were excited. Listen, we were excited. You didn't make much money. You worked long hours. You never got paid. But you were just excited to be there, and to be a part of it.
Well, I don't know about you, but for me, things ain't changed. I still work long hours and don't get paid much, so I need to go your route,
I just still ain't getting paid what you're worth.
Things ain't changed much, but yeah, no, but I've seen your career. I mean, you went on to Z&S. But you were like the forebear of news. I mean, of course, there's the Charles Carters and all that before you. But man, I mean, right now in the Bahamas, Jerome Sawyer is the standard, the standard you look up to, and I'm sure a lot of young 17-year-olds looking up to you too, going like, wow, the Jerome Sawyers,
It's humbling because even now within the industry, I have people who say to me, I chose this career because I watched you on television. I have so many people that I mentor that are still in the business, that are also stars in their own right and doing things. whether they were summer students or whether they were interns or whether they were, they were employed under me in other places and doing work. I take a lot of pride in that, and I'm humbled by it, and for me, that's a legacy. I don't care what work I do as a journalist. It's what I leave behind and what I would have left with people. That's the most important part to me, and that gives me really the most pleasure. I like the news stuff, I like the current affairs, but that's what gives me the most satisfaction, knowing that I would have impacted the lives of now, I would say, almost two generations of reporters.
And you're still so young. That's the thing, man. You're still so young.
You say you're as young as you feel.
Exactly.
When I'm running on the beach at Goodman's Bay at 5 a.m, I remember that.
Yeah. Well, listen, before we go to our first break, I see two wonderful pictures behind you. So tell me who they are.
So these are my great-grandparents, Savalita and Thomas Hope. My great-grandmother was a midwife. Can't remember what my great-grandfather did. But I never knew them. They were deceased by the time I was born. And after my grandmother's death, I found them in her room. And I recognized who they were. Well, I asked my mother at the time, who are these? She said, oh, these are great-grandparents. And so I had them framed, and I have them up on the wall here at our family home. And, it's a reminder of my heritage and who I am. And every time people come to the house, they always say, who are these folks? And I'm always very happy to tell people who they are. So, yeah, those are my great-grandparents.
Yeah. They're beautiful, beautiful pictures. So
thank you.
So what we'll do is we'll go to a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about your two shows that you have on now, and then a little bit more about the business. All right.
Sure.
All right. We'll be right back. More Charlie Bahama Show right after this. The Charlie Bahama Show. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the Charlie Bahama Show, and we are here with Jerome Sawyer. And Jerome, it's so good that, we got to catch up on a lot. And, we've been friends for a long time, and I've always loved your career and respected you. And now you have, I see two shows. Of course, you had On the Record, but this new exciting show I saw clips of, and we're going to show clips of both the shows on our show. But On the Front Lines, man, that's so exciting. And I see a theme. Everything is on the on the record, on the front lines. So
funny story.
I love the way it's shot. It makes you feel like you're with you. I mean, were you scared sometimes because you're on the front lines?
Well, I have to first of all give you the history of it. We started shooting that in 2018, in September of 2018. And those episodes have not come out yet. They will come later on. And then about a year later, we got access to the police force. The first show was really with the defense force. And to be very honest, we started shooting the show to be a special edition of On the Record. And then as I started sitting, as I sat down and I started going through the material, I said, this is more. There's something we have here. And I said to David Burrows at the time, I said, I think I've got another show. And I pitched the idea to him. I said, we could do these half-hour shows and let's call it On the Front Lines, because literally that's what it is. And so we started working on it, and we were getting ready to launch the shows. And I literally had to stop working on them to focus on Hurricane Dorian. And that literally, I remember the day I was like, okay, I have to put this down now because this monster storm is coming and we've got to focus on it. And so, of course, Dorian came, and, we were months and months into that. And so then I picked it up again. I said, okay, good. We're going to launch On the Front Lines. And we've got, the first few episodes. We're ready to go. And literally, as I was about to start, here comes COVID-19. And then, we finally settled on a launch date. And again, I'm about to go in studio to record the pieces. And I literally tested positive with COVID. And so, I was out for about a month. And finally, I got back in because, the elements of it were there. And so finally, the show premiered a few weeks ago. And it's such a relief just to get it on the air. But I'd gotten permission. I'd written to the minister and say, hey, I want to do this. Can we go? And he gave me permission first to go with the Defense Force and then with the police force. And the Defense Force show was going to come on later, but I was literally out to sea on the HMBS Derwent Knowles for a couple of days, and those episodes are really, you think the police episodes are good. They're really exciting. And then I was able to get permission through, first to the minister and then through the then commissioner of police to do a ride out and hang out with the police for a couple of days. And yeah, that was kind of scary.
I can imagine, man.
Should we get out of the car? Should we stay here? And there was one particular scene in one of the episodes where we arrived on the scene and they chase these guys and everybody leaves us. And it's just the cameraman and myself sitting in the back of the car. And I'm like, so what if these dudes run back? But it is, and already I've gotten, requests from other agencies. Like we were literally in discussions with PMH, the Public Hospitals Authority, with doing some episodes there. And then something else happened and threw us off. But in the new year, I hope to really do a lot more. But I wanted to give people, first of all, I wanted to sensitize people to the work that our men and women who are in the armed forces and services are doing. Because I think we miss sometimes the dangers and the difficulties that they face on a day-to-day basis. The police pulls you up and give you a ticket or something, you're pissed, but you don't know what it is that officer is in what he or she is going through because they're working a 12-hour shift. And it's not making any excuses, but what we're hoping to do is to create some understanding and appreciation for it and create some good TV. And trust me, it's good TV.
No, I saw, yeah, they sent me some advance and all that, and I saw it. It is good. I mean, I was like at the edge of my seat, and I'm like, man, I would be sort of nervous riding in some of these, aspects, which, I figure, especially if everybody leave you and you're just sitting there with the cameraman, So
yeah, I was like, I said to the cameraman, bro, what do you think we should do?
Run! Wow. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to show some clips of it so people can see exactly what we're talking about. And then we'll come back on the other side after these commercial breaks and talk some more with Jerome Sawyer. All right?
You think people realize the great sacrifices that you all make?
I know so. People, like I say, a lot of time you will hear people, like I say, the pot cake song, they don't know you till they need you. They only love me when they need me, right? So that's how it is. You'll have people, you'll talk bad with you one moment, and then when they're victims, then they're happy to see you. But like I say, we're not fazed by it. We here to protect and serve. It's our duty. So we just do it. This is what we love to do.
Gun in your face, so you're thinking, but home, a lot of things be on your mind, but you have to be justified. Justified with a gun in your face. And you have a split second to think, either you or him.
Every day, these men and women put their lives on the line, providing law enforcement and life-saving exercises. They are on the front lines.
Hey, welcome back to the Charlie Bahama Show, and we are here with Jerome Sawyer. And we talked about on the front lines, but let's talk a little bit about on the record, which you did before, and it still comes on. You've interviewed so many people over your long, illustrious career. Who is, in the top of your head, any of the most interesting people you've interviewed? Like, who just really made you go, wow?
That's a very hard question to answer because I've interviewed so many people in so many different respects who have come from so many different backgrounds. It's each time I have a good interview, it's for a different reason.
Right.
Like I think maybe over a year ago, I would have had Mother Pratt on, and I've known Mother Pratt for so long. And she tells the story and I tell the story. Mother Pratt was responsible for me going off to college. She said to my mother, what is he doing after high school? And that's how I got off to college. And so interviewing like a Mother Pratt for me was so familiar.
Right.
there was so much about her that I knew just from personal experience. So that was so comforting for me. Prior to the last, well, on the record came on months before the last election, and really was meant to be a political show and a debate style. And so prior to the elections last year, we also got an opportunity to interview former Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham. And he really hadn't spoken for a long time. And having him on the show too was very interesting. I sort of forgot what a tough person he is to interview. But he's tough, but he's also humorous.
No, he's so funny.
And you gotta understand sort of how to, he and I have had some classic fights over the years in press conferences and things like that. But, the thing, like I said, there's always a mutual respect, which I enjoy. And, the kinds of interviews that you do over the years really help to shape your perspective on people. And, people all have different styles. And that's what I try to bring to the show, my own style. And people always remark that they like my style because it's not always in your face, but it's almost a build-up. Like, I'm going to get you to talk, but I'm going to get you to say some things you probably didn't even realize you wanted to say, just in my approach. Some people are, very dogmatic and in your face. I prefer a little different approach. I can get you now, but, yeah, I got make you comfortable, and then I can come grab you. But people like the show. The debate style was really that was the foundation. We started with that. But once elections were over, they were not interested in debating anymore. But certainly as we move into elections, again, we're going to bring that back. But what I had to do was pivot with the show so that we looked at a lot more current affairs and issues. And so, for instance, in the wake of Dorian, we've done a lot of extensive reporting on going to the islands, going to Grand Bahama and Abaco, and going to areas that nobody else was featuring and talking to people. And I find that the show has evolved in many ways, in that respect. And then once COVID hit and we had during my COVID experience, I was literally doing that show from home. So again, because of what we were facing, we had to find a way to shoot me and to shoot guests. So of course, Skype and Zoom came in quite handy. Right. And so that opened up an entire new audience to us, because now we're talking to international guests. And so it's an exciting time. It's strange in many ways. Mm-hmm. And then even with the show, I found that in the COVID experience, what I tried to do was just focus on facts and information. Mm-hmm. And just give people what they need, things that they need to understand to try and get through this. Because there is so much noise out there. Yeah.
Well, before I let you go, and because I was surprised to hear you say you had COVID, it'll be great for people to know. Tell us what happened to you, how it affected you, and also how you're feeling and how you're doing now.
I literally, we were in the midst of doing a Dorian anniversary show. I had just done the production work on that, and because of issues with the studio, we had to outsource another production company to put that together. And so I was working and doing that. A lot of what I was doing with that was virtual. And so days after that production was done, I started feeling weird. I was really tired. And I thought, it must have been because I've been doing a lot on the show. And I just sort of made the decision to quarantine myself just because I wasn't well. I thought it was my sinuses. And then once the symptoms started, I had with the temperature and the body aches, and I said, okay, I spoke to my doctor. I said, this may be it. And so when I went and got tested, they called me immediately and said, you're positive. But at that point, I was already quarantined away from my family and work. And so I just sort of continued at home. And I told a couple of people at work, and I came on the show I did the show that week. And I said to them, hey, I'm just quarantining at home and not feeling well. And I announced during the show that I was positive, unbeknownst to most of my crew. And even to my guest, I had a doctor on, and she was talking about, the stigma involved and people not being afraid. And I said, I had to make an on-the-spot decision. I said, well, I can't sit here and act like I'm fine and I'm just at home. And so I said, I tested positive days ago. And that changed the narrative in many ways, I think, because a lot of people said to me, thank you.
Yeah.
For saying that publicly, because, I'm hoping it gave people the impetus to speak about their own experiences and to understand that it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Right.
It could happen to any one of us, and hopefully, my experience would have helped others to get through theirs, or maybe even prevented some people from getting it, because I made pretty sure that I locked myself away and protected everyone around me, and did what I had to do.
I'm so happy you're healthy. And so all the folks out there, I mean, everybody watches you anyway, but I'll just remind them, on the record and on the front lines, and Jerome Sawyer, man, it's so good to see you again, all right? So you stay safe and healthy.
Keep up the good work too, Charlie. It's good to see you back. I'm happy you're still in the game. That's important. Us old guys keep in the game.
Yeah, oh, my back aching. All right, buddy, you take care of yourself, all right?
And welcome back. The authors of Islanders in the Stream refer to the period of 1963 to 1973 like this. No other 10-year period in Bahamian history saw so much economic, political, and social changes as that which began with the Bay Street's last election victory and ended in the achievement of Bahamian independence under the all-black PLP government. One of the more significant events of that decade was the attainment of majority rule. Tonight, we take a look at where we have come since the events of that day. My guests tonight really need no introduction, or little introduction. Former Governor General Sir Arthur Foulkes and former Minister Sir Charles Carter. Both of these men have illustrious careers as journalists and broadcaster respectively, politicians and historians. Gentlemen, welcome to On the Record.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is an honor for us to have you in here tonight. I referred to you at the top of the show as two powerhouse guests tonight who have come to talk to us about a significant event.
Charlie Bahama Show. Charlie Bahama Show.
Follow Charlie Bahama on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or go to charliebahama.com. Well, that was another fantastic episode of the Charlie Bahama Show, and I want to thank Jerome Sawyer, my old friend, for coming on this week. And man, it's going to be exciting watching that show. Those shows he has so many shows on, but especially on the front lines. All right, so until next week, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Charlie Bahama, or charliebahama.com. All right, wear your mask, be safe, and love everybody, man. Love everybody. Cheers.
Charlie Bahama.